Writing standard form to ordinary numbers. Let's have a look at the first question. If we have a question already given in standard form, how can we write that in the original or the ordinary number? So the first question, 3.4 times 10 raised to the power 5. Our format for standard form is always a times 10 raised to the power n. So from this question, 3.4 is our a. So when a is decimal, and the power is positive, what you do is you write the whole number for the decimal point. So the whole number is 34, and then you add zeros to the number. So the power here is 5. You're going to reduce the zeros by 1. So instead of 5 zeros, we reduce it by 1. So that makes it 4 zeros. You only do this when the a is decimal. So for whole numbers, the decimal point is always at the end. So let's try that. So our decimal point is here. Let's move it 5 times to see if the decimal point will be between 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means that 5, we have 5 here, so that is correct. Let's try the second question. If we have 8.3 times 10 raised to the power 6. Because this is decimal and that is positive, we're going to first of all take the whole number, that is 83, and then add zeros to it. But the number of zeros, you're going to have to reduce it by 1 because we have a decimal point here. So it means instead of writing 6 zeros, we're going to reduce it by 1, making it 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 zeros. To check your answer for whole numbers, your decimal point is always at the end. Now let's try moving it 6 times to see if the decimal point will come between 8 and 3. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so it tells us the answer is correct. Question. If we have 4 times 10 raised to the power 4. Now with this example, you can see that a is not a decimal. And so if it's not a decimal, just write your 4, the whole number as it is, or a as it is. And then now, the zeros you're going to add to the number will stay same as the number of power because there is no decimal to it. So here is 4, you're going to have to add 4 zeros to it. And so to check this is a whole number. To confirm if your answer is right, whole numbers always have their decimal point at the end. So let's move it 4 times to see if the decimal point will be before the 4. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so once it comes here, it means our answer is right. So that is one easy way to understand writing standard form to ordinary numbers. Still on writing standard form to ordinary numbers, let's look at some few more examples. Remember the format for standard form: a times 10 raised to the power n. Now we're looking at when n is negative. We've looked at some examples when n is positive. So now we're looking at when n is negative. First example, 6.2 times 10 raised to the power minus 4. So in doing this, if it's negative, the first thing you want to do is you write your decimal number as a whole number. So that is going to, you're going to write that first. And then you add your zeros in front. So the only difference with when the power is negative and when the power is positive is when the power is positive, we write the zeros at the end of the number. So with this question, if the power was positive, we're going to write it this way. The zeros will come at the end of the number, right? And so when it's negative, the zeros come in front of the numbers. So remember, because it's decimal, we're gonna, instead of writing 4 zeros, we're gonna reduce it by 1, so it becomes 3 zeros. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, and then you put your point there, and then another 0 come in front. Right? To confirm if this is right, just move it 4 times to see if your decimal point, moving it 4 times would get between 6 and 2. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. and so it means it's right. Let's try the second question. If we have 4.8 times 10 raised to the power minus 5. As I said, because it's negative, it means we're going to have to write our whole number here first. And then because it's decimal, our zeros is going to come in front and it's going to reduce by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the decimal point comes there, and then write a 0. Now we want to check if our answer is right. It means let's try moving this 5 times to see if it's going to get between 4 and 5. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so it means that, yeah, that is right. Let's look at the third question. When we have a whole number, so let's say 5 times 10 raised to the power minus 3. So the only difference, and I want to highlight on this, the only difference when the power is negative is that when the power is negative and a is a whole number, it still follows the same trend. So you write your whole number here, which is 5, and you still reduce the number of 0 by 1. So instead of 3 zeros, it's going to go to 2 zeros, and then you put your point there, and then 0. Now let's try it. If you move it 3 times, you should get 5. Let's try to see moving the decimal point 3 times if we're going to have 5. So 1, 2, 3. And so it comes at the end of 5, giving us 5. So one clear difference between when the power is positive for a whole a number is, imagine this same question, 5 times 10, and the power here was positive. You know, with positive, what's going to happen is your whole number comes here, and then the number of zeros would still be 3 because that is not decimal, because a is not decimal. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. However, when it comes to the negative power, it doesn't work that way. With negative power, always the zeros will be reduced by 1, regardless if a is decimal or not. So that's one clear difference I want you to know. Thanks for watching this video. If it helps, make sure you like and you share.